Hi, my name is Jennifer Stars, and this is Making a Healthy Social Impact in Commercial Games. So I'll start with an overview. Why should we have healthy social impact initiatives in games? Who am I and who are we that is putting these impact initiatives in? How are we doing it? What's our method of execution? So what's the big deal? What's the results? And now what are we doing? So let's start with the why. So why should we have social impact in games? Because it's a good thing to do. We have an ethical responsibility. Maybe it's courteous. We're in a global emergency. Why not make it a better place? Belongingness for both the creators and players. So, what do I mean by belongingness? I mean inclusion. It's so inclusive, you feel like you belong, especially with your differences. So, I like to think about D&D or an MMO where you're grouped up. You got your tank, your healer, your CC, your DPS. Everyone has a different set of skills to bring to the table, but they're all important to the group's dynamic and success. Also, social impact gives people purpose. Purpose drives motivation. Motivation results in engagement. So this goes for both the creators and players and ties into the final bullet, which is bottom line, buck stops here. It makes business sense. Who doesn't want a motivated workforce? And then for the players, with engagement, there's money to be made that you can then put towards more social impact initiatives. And overall, social impact in games enables both creators and players to work together to uplift the world. So, who am I? My name is Jennifer Stars. I've been in the game industry about 14 years, primarily as a game designer. I was previously lead game designer at Subway Surfers, and I'm currently a game director at Cybo. I moved to Copenhagen 2 years ago with my husband and my 6-year-old daughter. We were in New York City and then Los Angeles and Atlanta before that. And I'm here to share our journey in the hopes that it can inspire yours. Subway Surfers is a street-themed endless runner for mobile free-to-play, launched in 2012 by Cybo and Kaloo. So co-creators Sylvester and Bodhi really drew upon their love of skater culture, of graffitiing, hip-hop, streetwear, world cultures to create this global phenomenon. And here's a little video about the game. So the game already, is addressing sustainability. There's running in the game. There's public transportation via the subways, and it has a diverse cast. Every 3 weeks, we go around to a different location around the world. So, for example, last month, which is February, for Valentine's Day, we went to Paris. Currently, we're in Cairo, and then the next big stop is Iceland. So for each of the locations, there is a character that represents that location. And as a result, we have a huge character roster, like 80 plus characters, and it reflects our diverse audience. So when you have something where there's a character per city or a character per location, we really have to pay attention to stereotypes. And for that, I like to look at a TED Talk from a few years back by Nigerian writer Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And that TED Talk is called The Danger of a Single Story, where she says, one of my favorite quotes from that talk is that the problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but that they are incomplete. They make one story become the only story. So how do we apply that to the game? So it's a mobile free-to-play casual game. We don't really want to go into extensive backstories. So we can do easily through things like outfits. This is Zuri. She's from Kenya. And on the left, she's wearing an outfit that is inspired by the Kikuyu tribe, which is one of the main tribes in Kenya. And on the right, she's wearing a streetwear outfit. So something that you and I could be wearing. So we can relate to Zuri on multiple levels. And in that same light, the Cybo Studio is diverse. It's full of stories. We have an international makeup, 100 people, 25 nationalities located in Copenhagen, Denmark. So we get to draw upon that strong foundation of progressive Danish values, the emphasis on community, on work-life balance, on the environment, on hygge. At one point, the Subway Surfers live ops team was almost 50% female, balanced in all departments, including engineering. So really diverse, really strong crew. And this extends beyond just the teams. It's throughout the hierarchy. We have a diverse and inclusive leadership team. It's not just what the meme says here. It's supported by the C-levels. We have Matthias as the CEO, Naz as CCO, David COO, and they are all strong proponents of inclusion. In fact, we had a leadership offsite a few months ago, and the day after the offsite, Matthias posts on his Facebook where he celebrates the diversity of the lead team. He talks about 16 people, 10 nationalities, 9 beards, 8 glasses, 5 women, 5 Danes, 2.5 Indians, 1 shared ambition, Cybo for the win. Oh, and 1 Filipino American. So, why all the glasses and women and partial Indians? It's because this contributes to the ultimate goal, which is diversity of thought. Diversity of thought enhances innovation by 20% and reduces risks by 30%, according to a Deloitte study. So how can I, mere game designer at the time, keep up with our fabulous leaders? What can I do to contribute to the world? What is my superpower? So I'm a game designer. What am I good at? Oh yeah, I can make a spreadsheet. So I use data. I did some research. And I made a character landscape spreadsheet, looked at different characteristics of the characters we have, their cultures, their personality types, etc. I mapped that against the sales data, and I looked for patterns, and particularly looked for opportunities that we could explore. With those opportunities, I then created mood boards. For example, would be great to explore more disabled characters, deaf characters, different head coverings, gender fluid characters, African-inspired fashions, etc. And from there, we could also look at other games. Apex Legends, nice diversity in their game. Sims 4 has no gender restrictions in clothing. Covet is an interesting game. It's a mobile free-to-play game that came out a few years ago, and when they initially launched, you started by creating your avatar, look like yourself, and the goal was to style or dress up your character according to a time-limited theme, and other players would vote on how well you adhered to the theme, and you would receive rewards based on the votes. What Covet noticed was that the leaderboards were reflecting what is prevalent in the fashion industry, and that's the leaderboards on the right here, which is the tall, thin, blonde, Caucasian female. And they wanted to change that a bit. So they changed the mechanics of the game so that instead of styling your own avatar, everyone for each theme received the exact same randomly generated character to style. So the exact same seed. And in addition to that, they made so many different character types. So more body shapes, more hairstyles, more face types, more heights, and this required them to change about 50,000 art assets. But as a result, for a lot of mobile free-to-play games, 6-7 years down the line, revenue either declines or flatlines. But for Covet, it's just going up steadily. You can also look at other things besides games for inspiration. I love these books. The Saga is a great graphic novel about an interspecies relationship. Tracing the Horse by Diana Delgado is autobiographical poetry about a Mexican American woman's coming of age in California. You can also go full throttle commercial, films like Fast and the Furious, diverse cast, $6 billion franchise. And the GDC Vault is full of so much wealth. This one is taught by Meg Giant. It's called 10 Ways to Make Your Game More Diverse. And here she talks about the three main keys, which are recruit diverse teams, seek out experts and pay them. Why? Because your audience is diverse. And the thing about experts, so you'll see this on LinkedIn or other places where companies are posting about this. Ubisoft recently brought in Nishi Scholl. King brought in Sonia Barlow for unconscious bias workshops. So I went to a Women in Tech summit here in Copenhagen called Wonder Tech Summit. And there I saw a diversity and inclusion expert speak. Her name is Lynn Roseberry. And she's also a lawyer and a professor. And she has the unique perspective because she's both American and Danish. Also, she has a pretty cool empathy-focused serious board game called Mosaic, based off her book, Bridging the Gender Gap. So I met with Lynn and provided her with our characters, backstories, outfits, prices, animation, audio, associated cities. Basically, we gave Lynn the game and the asset lists. And she did an assessment of the stereotypes and geopolitical issues, and it took about 2 days, resulting in a report on the game overall as well as per character. So we had big food for thought as well as low-hanging fruit, something actionable right away. For example, this is Yutani, one of our characters in Subway Surfers, and she's following kind of the Hollywood trope of having this purple streak in her hair, and it's a bit of a stereotype. Lynn identified that it's used to depict the edgy, rebellious Asian female. And we don't have to rely on those tropes. So we took all this data and all these findings, the reports, the mood boards, the inspiration pieces, to the art team. And what's great about collaborating with them, especially with the art director, Rasmus Muller, is that you get to take ideas and then they run with it and they evolve those ideas. And they are really great at using data as the boundaries for creativity to blossom. And here's some of what they've made. So their solutions really expanded gender, culture representation, more females. You have non-binary characters like Nina and Gia, the ethnically ambiguous, the every woman like Alicia, body size representation like through Alba, disabled characters like Rabbit, and then there's just more styles, more subcultures. So these explorations really unlock the opportunity to look into other social impact initiatives like sustainability, which is also a topic strongly driven by our CEO, Matthias. And by the way, I'll address all the exciting things he's working on later on in this talk. So, sustainability, greenification, this is not a new topic in games. So you can draw inspiration from a lot of sources, even the original Civilization. Assemble with Care addresses the beauty of repair, preserving what we already have. Also, the main characters are two non-Caucasian sisters. So an underrepresented group can still represent every man, every woman. Tree VR, where you play as a tree, start off as a seed and you grow into a tree. It's a beautiful experience. We're also inspired by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It even looks like a board game. And I just had to look around me. In Copenhagen, Denmark, a really inspiring place. They aim to be the world's first carbon neutral capital by 2025. Their biking infrastructure is unparalleled. There are 6 hidden giants in forests outside of Copenhagen. They're made from upcycled materials, really encouraging people to go out there and hike. Even in the office, here's Cybo's office, plants everywhere, even on the walls. It's a less dystopian point of view, and it's more solutions-oriented. So this inspired the greenification of game environments. So we already have running. We have reminders of public transportation via the subways, but now we're adding renewable energy sources. So it's incremental normalization to change a culture. For example, in these screenshots, on the left is Iceland. There are wind turbines. And then on the right is Cairo with wind turbines and solar panels. Solutions. So what's the big deal? Why do we want to put these initiatives in these games? Well, actually, we were really surprised at how well players engage with the more diverse content. You see here on this chart where the sales are really high for characters like Nina, like Rabbit, Miss Maya, Ramona, and Rin. And it's really surprising to see that the players want this, and it may not even look like them, but they still want to engage with these characters. Ethnically diverse female characters sell by a factor of 4. And Subway Surfers continues to be a global phenomenon. We have 2.7 billion downloads, 100 million monthly active users on average. App Annie recently recognized the Subway Surfers as the most downloaded game of the decade. We have a global audience, including China and India, and our App Store rating in 2016 it was 4.15, and now in 2020 it's 4.47. We have a really positive community. Get reviews and emails where people are saying things like, finally a character that looks like me. The international community is respectful of others, so there's not a lot of trash talking on social media. It's more about asking for their hometown representation, like come to Nepal, go to the Philippines. It's just super cool. And one recommendation I would just check in with is to balance your social change content to about 25%. Otherwise, you overuse it. It can come off as didactic. It can cause unexpected results. Like we had a begging culture on social media after a promo code push for a diversity initiative character, Mrs. Maya, one of my favorite characters out there. So we changed her to more of an endgame rare character, and as you saw in the previous sales chart, she's a fan fave. So now what? What are we doing with all that? We're exploring new avenues. Mark AR. So Saibo and iDreamSky are working together to develop an app called Mark AR. It's an augmented reality graffitiing app. It's a social app that allows for location-based AR graffiti using Google's persistent cloud anchors. So you use Mark to artistically elevate your surroundings, or as seen at the recent Los Angeles Women's March, where Mark had a pop-up event, you use the app to spread positive messages. It's basically AR activism. Plus, during the pop-up, continuous logins triggered Mark to donate money towards the LA Women's March. Solid initiative. And here's a little bit about it. Make your mark. So earlier I mentioned I wanted to talk a little bit about what our CEO Matthias is doing. So he's chairman of the board of Plastic Change, which aims to reduce single-use plastics. And last year, in October of 2019, Matthias and 20 other CEOs from the game industry met at the United Nations and formed the Playing for the Planet Alliance in order to take action against climate change. Here's a great video about this.
Today, 1 in 3 people in the world are playing video games. It's an entertainment industry that knows no bounds. From young to old, from Brazil to Bangladesh, everyone is playing. Now, the video game industry wants to play their part in the biggest challenge of our time. to keep our planet beautiful and level up in the battle against climate change, to help the UN achieve the global goals by forming a new alliance for action. We have no time to lose. The future lies in our hands. Together, we can all play for the planet.
Oh, I see it's getting dark. Rovio Entertainment CEO Katie Lavaranta, who is another member of Playing for the Planet, has an excellent quote about this, where she says, "Considering the enormity of the environmental challenges that face us in years to come, we as an industry must stand with our players and be evangelists for action." And this supports my thesis earlier, which is about creators and players being connected in action. And this is all similar to what the Fair Play Alliance is all about, too. So now it's your turn. Go get inspired. Go connect with people not like you. Make it an ongoing evolution. Aim to transcend. Favorite quote here from Maya Angelou, which is, "Do the best you can until you know better. Then, when you know better, do better." Or in my game design reductivist mind, do great, then do better. Thank you. And please contact me at any time with questions, ideas, comments, just to reach out. I'd love to hear from you.